to everyone watching, and thank you for joining our interview series here at Formula Careers. We're aiming to provide helpful information for you to access the career path you want in motorsport. So if you have any suggestions as to who you'd like to hear from or any suggestion in general, please get in touch with me at Izzy Holman on all social media. Today, I'm joined by Tess Brown, Emma Wycherley and Catherine Cook, who have all been part of the business graduate scheme at Williams Racing, which we'll be talking about in depth. So to get started, perhaps we should go to the two of you that are together. If you want to just introduce yourself, what your jobs are and what your responsibilities are in those jobs.
Should I go first? Hi, I'm Emma, and I have been at Williams since September last year, and I'm currently on my second rotation in the grad scheme in planning.
And I'm Catherine. I've been here almost 2 years now on the business graduate scheme. So I've done 4 rotations so far in my final one now in operations.
And Tess, what about you?
So I'm Tess Brown. I started in Williams back in 2017, so been here nearly 4 years now. So I started on the grad scheme, did 2 years there, and then have gone into a permanent role within the planning team. So Emma's with us at the moment for her rotation.
So Tess, what is a working week like for you? What do you do on the planning team?
So my job title, I'm a senior analyst, but a standard working week, I guess there isn't really one. The fast pace that Formula One is, which is great, means that every day's completely different. So my kind of main focus is on capacity planning. So I look at what work that we need to get done through design and through the factory, and ensuring we've got basically enough people or enough machines to make sure that we can get the parts to the car. I then do some other little bits of analysis work, looking at kind of time spent on different types of projects. I pick up some work around the build period of the year, so how we're going to phase the different builds of the cars. And yeah, it's all very different and fast paced, so it's great.
And Catherine, what about you? What's it like on your working week?
So it's quite varied for me, as all of our rotations end up being on the grad scheme. So at the moment in operations, I'm looking at a lot of improvement projects around the business. So we're quite fortunate that we're in a position that we can be doing a lot of improvement projects at the moment. So one project I'm looking at the moment is looking into packaging we're using around the factory and how we can reduce our environmental impact through reducing the amount of single-use packaging that we're using. I'm also looking at some traceability work of exactly what we're tracking to do with each of our parts as they go through their production process and then onto the car. And then also just working with people on the machine shop floor, finding out what improvements they're coming up with and talking and engaging with them about sort of what they want to be seeing going on in the business as well.
And Emma, what is it like for you in planning at the moment?
So mine's quite similar to Tess because we're in the same area of planning, but I do some regular meetings with various people in design and in production to see their resourcing and allocating people to various tasks, so we can smooth out their workload and make sure it's manageable for everyone. That's kind of the main thing for me, but otherwise similar to Tess.
Absolutely. And I don't know who wants to go first, but what is the best thing about working at Williams? Who's going to be brave?
Okay, I can go first. So I think for me, the best thing about working at Williams, in particular on this graduate scheme, is that we get exposure to such a wide range of people within the business. So, for example, the ops director sits in the office at the end of our office. I'll see him on an almost daily basis. And I can go down onto the machine shop floor, talk to whoever I want there. And there's always so much to learn from all these different people and their different perspectives of what's going on, and just kind of that exposure that we're getting and getting to learn from all of these people on a day-to-day basis is just amazing for me.
Yeah, similarly, it's just getting that end-to-end view of everything, and seeing how the car actually gets to track from the start, or from design all the way through to production, and feeling like you're properly involved with everything. There's a lot of activities that they put on, like we did a pit stop challenge and stuff like that. So you feel properly involved and close to trackside people as well, which is good.
And Tess, now that you're in a permanent role, what's the best part of your job?
I think it's quite similar to Catherine's, really. It's just the people and having everything going on kind of around you, because we're all based on one site. You get to see everything, so you can go down to race bays and have a look at the car, or chat to people in design. So you really feel part of it, and then you see the car going around the track at the weekends, and it's quite unbelievable, really, that you're part of Formula One that you see on the TV.
And should we go back around in a circle? So Catherine, what did you do for your A-levels and for your degree?
Gosh, A-levels. A-levels, I did maths, further maths, physics, chemistry, and I think I did French AS as well. A bit of a rogue one in there. And then at university, I did manufacturing engineering. So I did 2 years of general engineering, from like electronics to materials to structures, and then specialised into manufacturing for my last 2 years.
I wouldn't have understood any of those things if I'd chosen to do that. Emma, what about you?
At A-level, I did chemistry, physics, maths and further maths, and then went on to do a degree in materials engineering, with a placement year also doing materials engineering. So a bit different to what I do now, but yeah, it's good.
And Tess, what about you?
Trying to remember what A-levels I did. So quite a long time ago now. So I did maths, PE, product design and AS chemistry, and then went on to uni and did a product design technology degree. So wasn't exactly engineering focused, kind of more design, but picked up some of the core engineering elements along the way. So it was a good mix.
And while you were studying, was there anything that you did as an extracurricular, like a lot of people do Formula Student, that you feel was really helpful in what you do now?
So I wasn't involved in Formula Student when I was at university. I think, at university I picked up rowing and went along with that, which was pretty much all consuming for any time outside of my degree. So yeah, I guess that was good, that like I could show I had dedication towards something and like found something that I was passionate about, and also like drove my competitive edge, which is always a good thing around here. So yeah, rowing was my thing, my extracurricular at uni.
Similar. I didn't do Formula Student either, but I did dance. So yeah, I guess it's more like the team aspect, and with competitions and shows and stuff. It's helpful to have things like that on your CV, show something a little bit different to academic.
Yeah, that was very similar for me as well. I played football, so went straight down the sporting side, which, like you say, Catherine, is a bit consumes a lot of your time. So yeah, but it's good when you get thrown into something like that at uni, because you're thrown into a sport which you might be familiar with, but it's still with completely different people that you have to then start to make those connections with and build relationships with. So anything like that is definitely a positive.
I like that. I always had loads of fun doing dance at uni, and it was nothing related to my degree or anything like that, but it was definitely a lot of fun. So talking about the grad scheme more in depth, what is I presume it's slightly different, especially for you, Emma, because it would have been during COVID, the application process. But if one of you, I don't know, you can nominate one of you to just talk me through the application process for the scheme.
I think what we had to do. I think for me, the application process started off with like a CV, maybe some extra questionnaires, and some sort of personality test, and then went on to do a recruitment day, which had loads of us all here. We did some activities all together, and we got to see around the factory a bit. I think or at least see around the museum, which was absolutely amazing when you're like wanting to work in Formula One and you get to see around the museum. And yeah, had a few individual interviews and that kind of thing. But I think it was quite different for your cohort.
Ours seemed actually quite similar to that in the end. Oh, actually, yeah, it was just pre-COVID. So.
Okay. Managed to get in there. So is there anything for those interviews? Obviously, interviews are really scary things. Even if you've done a lot, they can still be very scary. So is there any tips that you guys have for the interview?
I'd say just kind of be yourself and stick to what you're passionate about and what you know. Like, no one's going to be able to fault passion or fault a willingness to learn or anything like that. It's just be yourself, really.
Yeah, and it's easy it is to say, try to relax as much as possible. I found that here at Williams they are very welcoming and made you feel as comfortable as possible throughout the day. So it didn't feel so intense, which is quite nice. Allows you to be yourself a little bit more.
Did you have anything to add to that, Tess?
Yeah, I think the relax and be yourself is definitely a major thing to try and focus on. Really hard to do when you're in a high pressure situation like that, but especially with the industry you then go into where it's quite fast paced and moving, if you can show that you can just relax and be yourself in a situation like that, it definitely helps.
And what was it that attracted you to the grad scheme in the first place? What made you want to do it rather than, if you've got an engineering degree, why not go straight into a sort of very engineering based role?
Well, I did do a placement year doing engineering, and it kind of made me want to do more of a communications based role, where I was speaking to people around the factory a lot more. And this grad scheme was kind of perfect because it gets you to experience different areas and then decide what you want to go into. So even though I wasn't sure which area I want to go, and I'm not sure, it's good to get the experience and to kind of find out what you want to do.
Yeah, I think for me as well, it was the getting to experience a wide range of departments and like get to know a wide range of people within the business. I think a lot of the people that go into an engineering role, they will a lot of the time just know their department and that will be kind of their boundary. Whereas on our graduate scheme, there is literally no boundary to who we can get to know on it. So it's, pretty great for that sense.
Yeah, definitely. So when I left uni, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I was trying to look for a grad scheme like this where you could go through different departments and get an experience of what's going on. So it was perfect for that because you start to learn about the company you're in as you go through and build up the connections in all the different departments. And then at the end, you get quite a lot of support in finding a role that suits you as well and that you want to do. So it's definitely a good decision that I made. But not when I left uni, not a clue what I wanted to do. So if people are leaving uni and have no idea, then that's not something to worry about because schemes like this are exactly what that's for. And
how's the grad scheme improved you as an employee? What have you been able to learn from the scheme?
So I guess so many things. So there's structured training that goes on kind of around the scheme. So you start with a cohort. So my cohort, there was only 2 of us because we were the first year of the scheme. But I think now there's 3 or 4 in each year, and you have training with the cohort above because the grad scheme's 2 years long, so you've always got 2 cohorts on it. So that gives you you start to make connections with those other people, but you have structured training around different skills. So you do some kind of soft skills stuff, communication kind of stuff, but then you get different people from different departments coming in and giving you one-off specialist kind of talks about how their part of the business works that you might not get if you were just an employee coming straight in. And I guess because you're on the grad scheme and you can go in and out of different departments, you build up relationships with quite senior stakeholders in all different areas of the business. So you soon find that Emma's probably found this in planning, that she knows all of the people that she now needs to work with in production, because that's where she did her first placement. And it's really useful to be able to just go and say, I'm looking at this in this department, but I know you might be able to help. So I think the ability to build the connections and kind of being thrown into having to build those connections is one of the main things that I've felt I've developed quite a lot.
Yeah, I think everyone that I speak to that works in F1 always talks about making connections. Do you two have anything that you wanted to add about how it's helped you become more well-rounded, I guess?
Yeah, I think for me it's it's boosted my confidence a lot. To start with, it seems quite intimidating when you kind of get comfortable in a department for 6 months and then like suddenly you're basically starting a new job just after you get comfortable. But once you've done that a few times, you kind of learn a lot about yourself and how you want to be seen within a department and by other employees and that kind of thing. And so it's helped with my confidence in who I am, because when I go on to the next thing, I know how I want the people who I'm going to be working with to be seeing me, and how I want to work with them and that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's not much more to add than that. Besides being thrown into departments which you never necessarily think you'd get put into or put yourself in, and actually ending up enjoying them far more than expected. And then, just gaining all those skills and allowing each rotation that you go into to use those skills that are built up. So I imagine by the end, you're quite rounded with everything, and you can apply that to whatever job you go into.
And is there any experiences that you had whilst you were at uni or whilst you were studying that really helped you when you got into the grad scheme?
I think kind of like the group presentations and things like that, the ones that people hate doing, they definitely helped. Having to kind of like work with a group of people that you might not necessarily work with and having to produce something relatively professional at the end of it. Because I remember those were probably some long nights in the library, but when you do them and you get that kind of feeling of, all right, I've just presented that, I've accomplished it, it helps to kind of build that confidence before you even start, which helps even for just the interview process, just having confidence of speaking to people and confidence in your own ability to be able to kind of deliver something. I think that definitely helped me.
Yeah, I'd agree
Yes.
with that. There's like and stuff that you do at uni, actually, like if you think about how you were at the beginning of uni versus the end of uni, like the amount of confidence you build through them, and then taking that forward into interviews is a big change, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
And is there anything that you'd recommend for students wanting to get onto the grad scheme that they can do to improve their CVs, or what they can offer Williams?
I'd just kind of say do what you're passionate about rather than what you think they're going to be looking for. Like if you're passionate about Formula Student, then go for it. But if you just join Formula Student to kind of try and get a job in F1, you're going to be better off doing something that you actually really care about and can show your dedication to, rather than thinking that you're ticking a box. Because as we said, none of us did Formula Student, and it's not going to be like a golden ticket in. You're much better off find something you're passionate about and go for it and really do it wholeheartedly, rather than something that you don't care about too much.
I also found we had a really helpful careers department at uni, and I went to them for help with CV and like how to approach interviews and stuff like that. So I definitely use those kind of things to help out, because that's exactly what they're there for, and it really does show you what you need to do, because otherwise you could be going into it completely blind. Definitely use things like that to help.
Good answers. So what's been your biggest challenge as part of the grad scheme? That's a difficult one. I know that's a difficult one.
Well, for me, obviously, because I started my job during COVID, which I guess a lot of people will be doing. It was quite hard to kind of initially build relationships with people and get to know everyone with all the remote working. I was quite lucky that my first couple of rotations have been in the office a bit, but it's just trying to learn how to work from home. So yeah, it's been quite difficult, and equally with the other grads, with everyone being on different in different departments with different rules of working from home. It's been pretty difficult to get everyone together and get to know everyone. Hopefully that'll change soon.
Fingers crossed. Catherine, what was your biggest challenge, or is so far?
I think for me, the fact that 6 months is actually a really short amount of time is my biggest challenge, because not only do you have to deal with like starting a new job every 6 months, you've got to make a good job of what you're doing in 6 months and make sure that you finish up all the projects that you're working on and that kind of thing. I think that's the biggest challenge, is getting everything done that I want to get done in 6 months, and then also the challenge of building those new relationships when you have to move on to the next thing.
Tess, what about your biggest challenge?
I think it's similar to Catherine's one, kind of getting settled into a department for 6 months and then having to move again. And then coming off the grad scheme as well, I think adjusting to not moving every 6 months. So it was also quite difficult to just kind of, because when you start going on to the different placements, you get used to new projects coming in and the turnover work being quite quick. So then settling into a full-time role was again a bit of a challenge, but not a negative challenge, just a different way of working, but still supported the whole way by my manager and everything. So it was a nice smooth process, but still I think just change in general is quite difficult.
So from biggest challenges to proudest moments, what has been your proudest moment either so far or whilst you're on the grad scheme?
I've got one. So I think my proudest moment is probably when I finished the grad scheme and they did a little ceremony where they handed out certificates, and Sir Frank was there handing out, was there for the certificates and kind of taking pictures of us. So that was really cool. Kind of, you've been on the grad scheme for 2 years and then you have this kind of celebration of people recognizing what you've done. I think that's probably the proudest moment for me.
I appreciate, Emma, you've maybe not had lots of time, but so far, what have you been really proud of?
Oh gosh. I'm gonna let Catherine go.
Okay. I think for me, it's having done a piece of work that has changed the way that people work in a department, and sort of actually seen a change in how people are doing things and the benefit of how it's affecting their like day-to-day work, and just kind of when someone says, oh, we still use this thing that you created for us, like we really love it, we think it's great. That for me is probably my proudest moment, when sort of seeing the appreciation of some work that I've done actually impacting someone's job in a positive way.
Yes, in mine probably when I was in operations for my first rotation, I was involved with inspection and making sure parts would go through inspection on time. And when I first saw the car for this season, and it was just in the race days, it was quite a proud moment to feel like I've actually been a part of that, and a part of actually getting the parts to the car and it was ready to go racing. That was a pretty good moment.
I think that those all sound like really good proudest moments. So what's the most important thing you've learnt from the grad scheme? Either something that you didn't realise about the industry or something about yourself, or it could be anything. It's another difficult one.
I think it's people for me. Going into obviously a completely new industry straight from uni, I was pretty scared of all these people who knew everything about Formula One and have been in this industry for ages, but actually found that everyone just is really nice and just really wants to help you learn. Because I think, like Catherine mentioned earlier, just being passionate about something and being surrounded by people who are also passionate about the same thing, you just go into a team straight away and you can feel everyone pulling in the right direction to get that car on the track. And I think that's probably it for me. It's the people and the environment you're in, because without that, you just wouldn't be a nice place to work. And everyone's just so helpful and wants to do the same thing.
Catherine, what about you?
I think for me, it's that there's always more to learn. Like, there's always going to be something that you can learn from everyone that you meet, and that, like, going somewhere with the attitude that if something goes wrong, you can learn from it, or if something goes right, then you can also learn from that. Everyone you meet, there's something you can learn from them, has been, a big thing for me.
I think for me, it's probably the variety of jobs. Like, there's so many people that work here that do completely different jobs, and everyone here knows different things and has different specialties, which you can always learn from. And everyone's always willing to, like Tessa, to help and to teach you. It's just a great kind of atmosphere to be around.
And I think something that sometimes gets overlooked is soft skills, and especially something like networking. From what everyone who I've ever spoken to in any industry has told me, is networking is very, very important. But a lot of people don't really understand how to network, or, what's the best way of going about things. So do you have any tips for people for improving their soft skills, including in things like networking?
I think you've got to be comfortable putting yourself out of your comfort zone, because you're never going to improve unless you push yourself. So if it's networking, but you're a little bit afraid of asking someone for help or approaching someone to be your mentor, then just do it, because what's the worst that's going to happen? It's just pushing yourself out your comfort zone, because that's how you learn.
Just kind of don't be afraid to ask for help either, just because more often than not, most people are willing to help you, and they're quite flattered if you ask them. Just don't be afraid and just go for it.
I'd also say, like, if you initially get a no for something, it's not like the end of the world. Be confident in what you want to be doing and be confident in yourself. Like, in every industry, there's going to be people that will say no to you, and like the right opportunities will always come at the right time. Just be ready to grab them when they do.
That's definitely good advice. Have you got any more bits of advice or anything about the grad scheme that I've missed that you think is important for students to know if they're wanting to apply for it?
I think just echo what has already been said. Just kind of be yourself and be passionate. Whatever it is, people can see passion and appreciate it. So if they don't try and be something you're not, because you soon get rumbled. So just kind of be yourself, relax, and just try your best, because that's all you can do. So I think that's...
I'd also say, don't let your background limit you at all. Like, we've got people from a massive range of backgrounds and like different degrees and all of that. We've all got engineering or product designing kind of degrees, but other people on the grad scheme, we've got like economics, politics, sports science. Like, there's such a wide range. Your background isn't going to limit what you can do on this type of grad scheme. So don't let it.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you everyone for watching. If you do have any suggestions or requests for people for us to interview, please let me know at Izzy Holman, that's IZZIEHOLMAN, on all social media. And until next time.